Hello everybody, this is Curly of Curly Feng Shui Master, and I'm talking to you today after I think I've been off Facebook now for 2 weeks. 2 weeks less one day, actually, I think, something like that. And I wanted to talk to you today about a subject really close to my heart. And the reason why I'm doing this Facebook Live today is because, we're in this situation that's very, very unique. And the COVID situation, this is a new C word out there. There used to be a different C word that was scary to people, also health related, and now there's a new C word. And I'm doing this Facebook Live for myself, probably more than anybody else in some ways. Hi, Trina. I'm doing this Facebook Live because this morning I went out for my walk, and I didn't actually do a walk per se, because I walked as far as the church. And the church is obviously closed, all places of worship are, but you walk through this particular churchyard in order to get to the green area to walk in the open space where social distancing is more possible and things like that. And I didn't make it past the church, to be honest, because I basically sat in the churchyard with my back against a gravestone and looking up towards the High Sema. And I sat there in this churchyard looking up towards the back of the church, where just inside would have been the altar. And I don't know why I felt drawn to this place, but I went there because, I try not to watch the news very often, certainly not every day, and certainly not before bed. And I sat down in this churchyard looking up towards the church because this morning somebody very close to me was being, the funeral was being held, and we lost this person. We lost this person 2 weeks ago, and I'm just really mindful that we watch the news and we're seeing all these numbers popping up on the screen that represent lives gone. And this, and I generally have a policy to really only put positive things up onto my Facebook, things that inspire people, help them move forward, feeling good about themselves. And, today I want to talk about loss and grief, because the numbers that pop up on that television screen, they're big numbers, aren't they? They're big, big, big numbers. And it's very easy to feel something, but also to subconsciously distance yourself to a safe distance and see it from the head space as numbers, look at it in a very theoretical sense. And, when I am a little bit lost in life around something, I normally look to a book. I go to my bookshelf, which is my safe space, and I look along the bookshelf and I think, okay, which book's going to help me? And that's because that's my go-to space. It feels safe. It's my way of personally finding my way through things. But over these 2 weeks, I did something really unusual, and I'm hoping talking about this so openly and to an extent vulnerably will really help other people. And if it helps just one of you, sorry, and if it helps just one other person, I think it's worthwhile doing, because according to those numbers on the screen, there's a lot of people out there that have been touched by somebody passing from this world, including myself. And I have one person who's very, very close that I've lost recently, and but there are many people that I'm hearing about daily who are also leaving this beautiful life. And hit the like button if this is helpful, and please feel free to share in the comments if you have something that you think might help people too. And anyway, I sat there in this churchyard, and it was a really sunny day, but absolutely freezing. So thankfully I was dressed really warmly with gloves on. And I was looking up at this church and the point where the altar was, and I was thinking, why have I come here? I'm not really a religious person. But I would say I'm a person of faith. I would put myself into the category of being spiritual. And I realised that, we as human beings, yes, we seek connection with each other, but more than anything, we feel the need to be connected to Source, the universe, nature, a divine being, something out there. And what it does is, when we feel a connection, it kind of makes us feel better. It's very soothing and calming, and it gives us a context that is bigger than that is bigger than us. And in my own moment of loss and grief, this morning, sitting there thinking about the funeral going on that I wished I could attend, but obviously because of social distancing rules, that's not possible. And I sat there and I thought of the 5 people who were attending this funeral, and how hard it was for them, having been in touch with them early this morning, to go, and there's just the 5 of them there. And I come from a culture where the funeral process involves a number of different things, including taking the body to the place of worship first, before taking it on to place of rest, so to speak. And that wasn't possible, and the lovely old lady who passed away, I thought of all the numerous funerals she's been to, where she's observed everything and how important that was to her. And I basically sent out blessings for her soul. And I sat there in this churchyard, again, with my back against this tombstone, this really, really old tombstone. And I thought about everybody in the churchyard, and, there was some tears flowing, and there was also, I was really thoughtful about this wonderful old lady who's dear to me, who passed away, a member of my family. And I thought about the numbers that have been flashing across the screen every single day when the news comes up, and the daily briefings from the government about the number of people who are leaving this life. And I thought, well, there's a lot of people who are suffering. And I just realised I haven't got my headphones in, so hopefully you can hear me properly, but I'll just put them in now. Hopefully you can hear me a bit better now. I just want to say hello to a few people that are with me now. Trina, Seema, Rajaniaka, I hope I said that right, Isabella, Matt. It was my grandma that left this lovely world. She had a long life, so she had a good innings. And I was thinking about all the people that are being touched by people leaving the world at the moment, and I was thinking about how many people might be sitting there alone in their grief, trying to make sense of all of this, trying to be strong, put on a brave face. And I thought, what could I say that might help at least one of them? And I thought, probably what's most helpful is to know is to know that you're not alone. There's a lot of us out there right now, and it's a really good time to sit in a massive pool of compassion for yourself and to allow yourself lots of space and to really nourish your spirit with the space to grieve. And and I thought about, what does grief mean? But before that, I'd like to say, the worst thing that any one of us can do at this time is to try and repress all that emotion and feelings. And let's be honest, grief can be a really hard thing, because it's essentially one's heart feeling like it's breaking. And there's no easy way to allow your heart to break, but sometimes it's necessary. And the best thing is to allow yourself to feel those feelings. So over this nearly 2 weeks since I lost this person, I've spent time doing something that I don't normally do. I've taken time off for a start in a completely different way. I've allowed myself to just be, and I've binged on Netflix. I've allowed myself to comfort eat a little. I've had some really nourishing calls with some close friends. And something I found really helpful to do was to write a letter to my nana, who's a lovely lady that passed away, and just to write down all the things that I wanted to say. And, you know, especially because I couldn't go to her funeral this morning, I sat there in this churchyard on the grass, the birds were chirping, you know, it's really hot and sunny. And I basically, I spoke to her, and as I was talking, you know, these words were leaving my mouth, and I was basically speaking from my heart, so I wasn't really consciously planning anything to say or anything like that. And I found myself sending out blessings for all those people, every single one of those numbers that has been popping up on the screen in the news briefings. And I also picked up a book off my bookshelf when I got in, and I picked up this book and I looked at the chapter on grief, you know, because I don't know about you, but I'm very well articulated at the best of times, but honestly at the worst of times it's really quite difficult to find words to describe the emotions and capture them. And you know, the words of you know, I was reading this book and it said, we have thoughts such as all the years I've wasted. It's a feeling of sadness and loss and loneliness, the feeling of if only, regret, feelings of abandonment, pain, helplessness and hopelessness, nostalgia, melancholy, depression, longing, irretrievable loss, heartbrokenness, anguish, disappointment, pessimism. And I thought it was really good to read that because it helped me to acknowledge the depth of emotion that has been coming up for me. You know, I found myself feeling absolutely fine in a single day, feeling really flat, feeling jolly, feeling hopeful, feeling inspired, and then just randomly I'll start crying and a little piece of my heart will disintegrate and crumble. The other day I decided to go to the supermarket and brave it and the queues, and as I was in the car driving along I suddenly started crying and I pulled up at the lights, happened to turn my head and I saw somebody look at me and I had tears streaming down my face, and this person in the car just blew me a kiss, complete random stranger. It was really nice. It was a feeling of connection in a moment. Lights turned green and off we both drove our separate ways. And when I was looking at this book today, it said it's got a bit about allowing the grief. Then it's got another part about handling loss, and that, you know, with grief always come feelings of guilt and inadequacy. And if I'm honest with you, I think about my nana and I think about all the times that I pass by. She doesn't live locally, but all the times that I passed close by that I probably could have visited her and didn't, and all the times that I did visit her and that it was really hard to see her like that because she was very, very old, and to be honest, it was really hard to see her in her latter years, this last few months, where it was really, obviously she had no quality of life, so it's probably the best thing for her, if I'm honest, to go off, be an angel, as I like to think, and be, you know, a lot more able-bodied wherever she is, able-spirited and out of pain. And so, you know, if you're out there and you happen to watch this, so, you know, if you feel like you want to share this on for other people, please do so. And if you feel that it's just me babbling away, making myself feel better, then by all means don't share. If you've got something helpful to say, add it in the comments below. Or if you too have been touched by loss, then again, you know, if I've said anything helpful, do like or share. Sorry. And I basically wanted to say that whoever it is that you've lost, or you've heard about someone who has been lost, passed away, or you're looking at these figures and you're feeling a sense of grief, or you're tapping into the grief and loss that is washing over our country, our world, to some extent. And even if you're a really positive person like me, you only share positive stuff on your Facebook like I do normally, and you've got a really upbeat outlook, you know, every now and then it's a good thing to allow yourself to share about stuff like this, especially where it's washing across so many people. And to just say, you know, because when you're feeling a bit upset, it's really nice to have somebody come along and sharing that with you, to just to show that you're not alone. And so I would like to say to anybody else out there who's feeling loss and grief, that you're not alone, and that you will get through this. And it's not easy. So what you do is you take it one day at a time, and you get up each morning and you brush your teeth and you fix yourself a nourishing breakfast, and you nourish your body, you hydrate your body, you drink some water, and you say a prayer if that helps you. There's a prayer called the Serenity Prayer, which I really like, and it goes something like this: Dear God, grant me the serenity to accept I'll start again. Sorry. Dear God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's a prayer that I like. There's lots of different prayers out there. There's the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, that's really good. Or there's the Lord's Prayer. You know, these are the ones that I know of in English. And there are many, many prayers in many different languages. And what you do, when the tears come, you let them come. And you let whatever it is that's bubbling up inside of you come out, because it's better out than in, as Shrek would say, Disney character. And you take it one moment at a time. You pick up the phone in these days of lockdown and social distancing. You pick up the phone or you get on Zoom if you really need to, and you talk to somebody. And there's so many people out there that are willing to sit on the other side of the phone and listen and lend an ear, give you their shoulder virtually, and give you a hug virtually. You know, there's video calls, FaceTime, lots of things like that. And it's really, really important that whether it is your own grief, the grief of somebody close to you who's lost somebody, or whether you're picking up on the loss and grief in your local community, that you allow yourself to have emotions and know that it's okay. Because, you know, the worst thing you could do is let that emotion bubble up inside you, fester, push it down, and not give yourself permission to have those emotions. I mean, in the first few days, I found myself doing really silly, nonsensical things. I remember making myself some food and then leaving it to go cold and walking away. And I think it was just that I needed the act of doing something physically, so I made the food, but I wasn't really interested in eating it. On another day, I found myself cleaning something I'd already cleaned. We've had some really lovely weather in the UK over the last few weeks while we've been in lockdown, and going out for a walk is really helpful, getting your body into movement, doing some exercise, or just as you walk along saying hello to a stranger, giving them a smile. You don't know who you're walking by and what they're going through, whether they've just heard of somebody close passing away. And it's really, really important that you allow yourself to have a whole host of emotions and give yourself permission to feel good and bad in a single day. Because, you know, I can honestly say that in this week and a half, 2 weeks since I lost my nana, in the same day I felt tears and broken hearted down on my knees, and I felt really jolly and cheerful listening to music too. And I think it's because when you allow deep sadness to come through and out, what it does is it leaves a clear space. It creates a clearing emotionally in your body. And sometimes if you allow yourself to just feel, what happens is the next emotion is like a sense of emptiness but calm, and then you move on up to a slightly sort of smiley space, and then a jolly space. And you know, emotions come in waves, and they're not static. And whether you've lost somebody or you're in grieving or not, you'll know that in a single day we can all feel such a lot of emotions. And so what happens when you enter a place of loss and grief, or you're picking up on it in your community, is that the emotional wave, which might be like that normally, can suddenly go steeper. And so it's not unusual to feel really, really low and sad and tearful, and then very quickly soon afterwards go up and feel completely different and jolly. And don't feel bad about that, because it's normal. It's absolutely normal. It's part of the process of loss and grief. You might suddenly feel angry at someone, or angry at the world, or God, or the universe, and you might feel the injustice of it. Sat in that churchyard this morning on the grass, at one point I felt really angry, really, really angry. And I was thinking, even though I understand it from an energetic and spiritual perspective, and I truly believe that the other side of all of this, there's going to be something good for the world. In the middle of it all, as all of this is happening, and in the household where I'm staying, there's also a nurse, a midwife actually, and I watch her come in and out, and she's obviously going through a lot because she's one of these NHS workers, and she's right there on the front line, as people say, and she's experiencing it all firsthand. And I'm watching her, and I'm trying to be there for her too, and noticing how she's going through such a lot. And then there's there's also one of my clients who is a senior consultant in our hospital, and she's doing really well actually, thankfully. And I'm doing my best there to support her as well. I've volunteered to help out, this volunteer army. And this morning when I was sat in this churchyard, and I was thinking of Nana, but I was thinking of everybody else, not just all the numbers of people that have passed. I was also thinking about every single one of us, all of you. And I was thinking that, there's so many of us that feel called to do something, anything to help. And you can feel angry one moment, you can feel kind of confused, like, why is this happening? And there's a whole load of emotions that we go through, and it's really, really important to allow them. And I just wanted to do this Facebook Live to say, look, within all of us, the reason why we feel grief and loss so deeply is because we care. It's because you care that you feel things. When you don't care about something, it doesn't touch you, right? I'm not going to talk about my political views or standing, but I can tell you, when I found out that our Prime Minister was going into hospital and then intensive care, I wasn't thinking about who he is politically. I was thinking about the fact that there's a man out there who's been working really hard right to the end, and now he's in intensive care. And regardless of your political beliefs, you start to get to know this person, the sides of themselves that they show as they do the briefings and come on screen, right? And so I honestly said a few prayers. Then there was that world meditation that went out in early April, that I woke up at 3:30 in the morning to do that as well. And so I guess the message that I really want to get out there through doing this Facebook Live and this YouTube clip is, how do you get, if you've experienced loss and grief, or you're picking up on it through other people, and their losses, or because you're in the NHS and you'll see, I can't even imagine what it's like for you guys, seeing body after body of ill people who are really suffering and passing. I just want you to know that you're not alone, and please feel free to reach out to me if you think I can help you, you want to share. The work that I do is energy based, so it's very much about tapping into the most healing aspects of yourself. And with feng shui as well, it's possible to find the healing, the health and wellness PowerPoint in your homes. And illness of the lungs, it's connected to deep grief and sadness as well. So if there's something I can do for you, please do reach out to me, because I've taken 2 weeks. I'm going to step back into work now, over the next few days, and I'm going to get back fully engaged with the world. I've taken some time. I'm still going to take some time, but just not the whole day, every day. and I just wanted to say that for anybody out there who has been touched by loss and grief, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to others. Don't sit there alone. Unless you want to sit with your emotion, don't let yourself get depressed in a way that's unhelpful to you, especially if you're in a household where you're single. And just know that there's a lot of us out there that are feeling it, and it's okay to feel it, because it's really important to put positive posts out there on Facebook and to give people a boost and make them feel good in these times, but it's also equally important to allow your emotions and for us to be there for one another as the losses are mounting up and people are passing. It really hit me this morning when I couldn't be there at the funeral, and at the time that I knew they were cremating her body, I just sat there alone amongst the greenery with the birds chirping, the sun shining, and I was really present to the feeling of loss in my own heart, but I was also present to the fact that it's such a beautiful world. The birds were chirping, the grass was green and healthy and growing, the sun was shining, and our planet is healing in a way at this time, in a way that it hasn't been healing for many, many, many years. Hi, Sami, Ranji, and so that's why I just randomly, just like that, I decided to do it, and I'm doing the Facebook Live because there's a lot of people out there grieving and feeling sad, just like me, and I want you to know that it's okay to feel that way, and that it's really important for you to allow your emotions. It's really, really important for you to not beat yourself up about anything that you're feeling, whether it's a feeling of guilt or I wish I had or could, or any of these things. These are all perfectly normal. The most important thing to do right now is to be really compassionate with yourself. If you need to be alone with your emotions, be alone. And if you want to reach out, don't sit there feeling alone. If you need somebody, I've been so lucky because, thank you, Dave. I'm so lucky because I've got so many wonderful friends, and my particular loss also highlights to me how a feeling of separation from a specific community as well. And, so I feel it in many, many different ways. And, what I decided to do was let myself do things that I don't normally do. Like I had the odd afternoon nap. I have been giving my body some really nourishing, good food. But then there's been times in the day where I just got out a 6-pack of crisps and I've just thought, okay, let's just get stuck into this, because that's what I needed to do. I needed to comfort eat. And then there's been times when I've gone out for a walk and I just let my body move, and it's felt good because the sun has been shining. And then I've also thought about all the people that are here, that are alive and well. And, it's important to take time to send blessings and comfort out to all the people that are suffering. And I've been doing that every single day. I have spent just a few moments in silence, and I've just imagined, I don't know if you want to do this with me because I haven't done it today. Well, I did actually in the churchyard, and I just sit there and I imagine light pouring down from up above into my head, and the light of the universe, of all the angels, of all the spirits that have passed and are passing, leaving this world right now. And I imagine all the grief and sadness passing through my body, through my heart, down through my body, through my hips, down through my legs, feet, down into the ground, as if roots are growing down into the ground. And I imagine those roots wrapping around the earth's core and then shooting back up. And I imagine that all those roots are connecting with everybody who's lost somebody, and shooting up through Mother Earth into their spirits as an invitation, not forcefully, and sending them comfort, sending them light, sending them compassion, and just the sensation of a really deeply comforting hug, as if they're being held. And that they have a deep sense it's going to be okay, I'm going to be okay, and that I can carry on. I saw a Facebook post earlier on, not that long ago, and it basically said, so what am I supposed to do now? This person had also lost somebody really, really close. There were so many lovely comments saying things like, you get up each morning, you take one moment at a time, you take a deep breath, you say a prayer, you have a glass of water, you breathe deeply, and you do something, anything in that moment that gets you from this moment to the next moment, whether it's something like a household chore. Cleaning really helps, believe it or not, when you're feeling deeply emotional, or clearing a closet or a cupboard, going for a walk, sitting in prayer. Sometimes we just need to escape the emotions, so watching a movie or something familiar on TV. It's really, really important that you allow yourself to do whatever you need to do, even if it's just cry, cry, and cry, and cry. Down on your knees. Just let yourself. it's important. And you know, in Reiki they say something, and it basically says this too shall pass. And I just want to share with you, you know, that there's a lady in this house that I'm living in at the moment. It's a shared house, who is a midwife. And you know, she's telling me about all the births that are currently happening. So yes, there are souls leaving this planet, and it's painful, especially for the rest of us that are left behind, feeling the sense of loss and everything. But there are souls being born, lots and lots of souls being born into this world, beautiful light beings, gorgeous children. And so the numbers are balancing out. As one soul leaves, becomes an angel, another soul comes down to pour light across this planet and bring light into the world. And just remember that whatever it is you need to do, maybe you need to read a book to escape, or maybe you need to pick up a book to feel a sense of comfort and grounding, just like I did. I picked up a book, and because that's my go-to. That's my go-to. And you know, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a book on love, a book on the emotion itself that you're feeling, a religious text, whatever it is, a romantic novel, a sci-fi for escape, whatever it is, it's okay. Whatever it is that you're drawn to it for a reason. Listen to your instincts, listen to your heart, which is breaking, and it's okay that it's breaking. And you know, I just want to say to you, it's really important to allow your heart to break fully. And that's what it means when they say feel your emotions. You're allowing your heart to break fully. Because just as you know, when a volcano erupts, or there's a wildfire, there's destruction, but when it's complete, there is new life that forms. And it's really quite magical how quickly it happens. So it's really important for you to allow that emotion out completely, because the other side of that emotion, there's going to be a sense of clarity and calm. And then you will, the building bricks will start one by one, and your soul, your heart will start to feel okay again. And you know, it might be that you go back and forth, and you think you've done your grieving, and it starts to feel better, and then suddenly you're back in there. And it's okay if that happens. It really, really is okay. And that's really just what I wanted to share with you all. And like I said, if it's been helpful, please do say like, share on, comment below if you've got anything to add. And I just want to say that it's a really, really important time for our planet. And even in amongst the worst disasters, there's something good to be found too. Wherever there is light, wherever there is deep, deep, deep darkness, you will always see the contrast of beautiful light. So for me, in these days, the light has been my body being nourished, sleeping really deep sleep, the dark emotion leaving my body, and just reconnecting with the soul of this amazing lady that passed, that was my Nana, the incredible love and encouragement from friends who I've been on the phone to, on Zoom, WhatsApp video call, and so just remember, you will find your way through this, and it's one day at a time, one moment at a time. And in those moments where you think your heart is going to break and you'll never stop crying, let yourself cry. You will stop, probably a lot sooner than you thought. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for listening, and for everybody that's shown up. And I just want to say thank you very much, and lots and lots and lots of love to all of you. And if you've lost somebody and you want to pay your respects or share your respects in the comments below, feel free to put their name and, you know, some hearts or kisses, and I will add them to my prayers. For now, just you will see more of me back on Facebook over the coming days, and I will do what I can to be helpful. And just lots and lots and lots of love to all of you, and thank you for sharing in this with me. And do share it on if you think there's anybody who it could help. Lots of love. Bye for now.